an application using blockchain is actually made?
Okay, so for Metis, we use our layer 1 blockchain called Jupiter. It's based in Java. The Jupiter program is, and then we wrote Metis in React Native, which is a mixture of Node.js, React.js, and then just a plethora of JavaScript libraries. At last count, I think there were 200 different libraries. And for you developers that have ever, initialized an NPM project or create React app, it pulls in a lot of libraries by default. So Metis is React Native for 90% of it. Of course, it's got its HTML on top of it and CSS and files and all of those other things. But the web is built on JavaScript. Web apps are 90%, 95% JavaScript. You may have some Ruby in there. Maybe if you're a data scientist, they use Python and R a lot, but Python's really not a web native application. It's not really like a web native language anymore. So JavaScript is very popular, and it also just gives a lot of flexibility of what you can build. We have, a very robust API system. So if you can look at an API system and understand the calls at today's level, there's really nothing you can't build using our ecosystem.
And I believe that could be a good starting point as well, right? The knowledge of web development, or for that matter, Android development, could be a good starting point for people to get started in building applications on blockchain. Basically, you need these for any sort of application that you want to develop, right? You will always need a front end to showcase your application, right? So these forms the basics of it, right? Maybe we can have a quick show of hands from the audience. Those of the people who know JavaScript, right? Can you please raise your hand or put a yes in the chat box so that we are acquainted with the audience? No, that was fast response. Awesome.
Good, very good.
Great.
Yeah, JavaScript. And of course, I'm completely biased in what I say. JavaScript is how at today, looking at it, JavaScript is how you build web apps, and it is the most efficient manner and the fastest way to get basically go from 0 to 1. It's the fastest way to get there, and unless you're inventing a new programming language, you are going to use JavaScript for the most part. Solidity, a Web3 programming language for Ethereum based blockchains, Ethereum virtual machines, that is very, very popular. And there are, in my opinion, there are differences between blockchain developers and block application developers and smart contract developers. Those are three distinct job titles and three different skill sets. Blockchain developer is, a compiled language, C++, C#, Java, the mechanics of how to think beyond clicking OK or send and the repercussions that it causes down the line, because you have to think about 10 years from now, are these transactions that we're building and completing today going to still stand up over the test of time? And then you have your smart contract developers who are very Solidity heavy. Solana uses Rust in their programming languages to build smart contracts, and it's similar to a blockchain developer, except you're building, it's kind of like a layer 1.5. It's not quite layer 2, but it's not quite layer 1. And it's very deep into the weeds. And you have to really understand the premise of what decentralization really is. So when you click OK in a smart contract, the functions of those smart contracts can kick off and work very well. And then you have your your blockchain application developer, which is more along the lines of what Metis is. Metis is an application that I have blockchain developer or web developer application developers building to build out that Web3 ecosystem on top of Jupyter. And, you know, anybody that built on top of another blockchain. So yeah, it's future-proofing the world is what it's doing. Web3 is huge.